100 years, I cannot believe it.
So I just go out there early in the morning in the dew and pick up a game.
Coming back here, just a glimpse at the course, it's beautiful.
The history of this club and how it came about and its ties to Donald Ross, I think, are special.
We think it's just as great today as it was in the 1920s.
In the early 1920s, a group of golfers decided Rochester needed another course. By 1923, the founders, led by Henry Perigo, purchased more than 200 acres of Pittsford farmland. They engaged the country's leading golf architect, Donald Ross, to design an 18-hole layout.
To find the best ground they could, that's the most important thing. So they decided to invite Ross back here to look at the 3 parcels. And Ross walked the grounds of Monroe and he said, just like, this is it.
Donald Ross was a genius, and he used our ridges that we have out there. It's called a glacial moraine. So there's these spectacular ridges. Instead of building a bunker, you can actually just dig a bunker into one of those ridges.
The architectural features are just vivid.
I've been fortunate enough to play a good number of Ross designs throughout my career, and to me there's not really one that stands up to this.
It is truly a pillar of Rochester golf.
Not only did the rolling land work perfectly for Ross's masterful golf architecture, but the sandy soil would benefit the club in immeasurable ways.
I think the plans are maybe one of the best sets of Ross plans he's ever devised. It's really bold, a lot of contour in the greens, great routing. He was trying to challenge, the best golf courses in New York and in the region, and he knew how special this was. All sand, beautiful old farmland, rolling topography.
At first, the name Monroe Golf Club was only temporary. Then, after a vote, Monroe Golf Club was selected, edging out Monroe Country Club 38-37. Monroe's original logo was based on the Monroe clan of Scotland, from the area where Donald Ross was raised.
The logo itself dates back to the Monroe clan of Scotland. We have a special tartan that the Monroe clan uses, and we've had some access to it for different things like head covers or leather flags.
Monroe Golf Club was officially incorporated in 1923. The course opened on July 4th, 1924, and the rest is 100 years of history.
Dad asked to stay on as greenskeeper, and he did for 36 years.
Rosemary Esterly is the daughter of first greenskeeper Jim Connaughton. She literally grew up on the course in the greenskeeper's home, located where the short course is now. Connaughton had previously worked for Donald Ross.
Donald Ross was trying to pick someone who would travel with him in constructing golf courses. And I guess the guys were lined up, and Donald Ross was a Scot. And he looked him over and he said, "I'll take the Irishman." And that was my father. He loved the golf course, and he devoted half his life to the golf course.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Since Monroe's inception, there have been many local, national, and world events. Some greatly impacted the club. During the Great Depression, dues and fees were slashed so the club could just survive. There was a moon landing, a historic ice storm, 9/11, the COVID pandemic, but none impacted the club like World War II.
A date which will live in infamy.
Absolutely amazing how they got through World War II.
During the early 40s, nearly 50 members and staff served in the military, including head pro George Vatke and general manager Bob Standish. Because of gas rationing, a horse-drawn wagon shuttled members to and from bus stops. Young member Army Major John Pabst, a Kodak chemist, made the ultimate sacrifice. He died from wounds suffered during a mission over Rome. The 29-year-old was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart. Charter member Frank Little, believed to be the only member to serve in both World Wars, re-enlisted in 1943, served at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, became ill, and died while in service at the age of 50. During the Vietnam War, Army PFC Robert Forbush Jr., the son of longtime members Robert and Virginia Forbush, was killed in Pleiku, Vietnam. World War II forced the cancellation of the Monroe Invitational. The only other time the Monroe was canceled was in 2020, during the COVID pandemic. While the indoor facilities were closed during those early days of COVID, the course remained open.
When it first started and we didn't know what we were dealing with, we lived as security guards in the pro shop, and we had to watch from afar and speak through a window and not being able to go help members with their clubs or putting people's bags on push carts. We weren't supposed to touch the flag sticks. We couldn't have bunker rakes on the golf course.
Operationally, it certainly gave us our challenges, and again, our team rose to the occasion and we persevered through it.
In the mid-1930s, Monroe proudly introduced one of the first sprinkler systems in the region after installing a pump near 15T. And ever since, the club has had an endless amount of water.
The sprinkler system saved Monroe Golf Club, really.
The Arando Genesee Aquifer, I believe it was pre-glacial, and where we're tapped in, where it's about 135, 140 feet below our ground, and we could pump 1,300 gallons a minute. Knowing this property and what kind of soil we have, thank God we have that unlimited water supply.
Not only does Monroe have water for irrigation, but that sandy soil provides unmatched drainage. Golf can resume almost immediately after a rainstorm.
Well, there'll be rivers out there, and everything is covered with water. And as soon as the rain stops, it's over with. I mean, we can go right out and play.
Sometimes I think it's magic, but it's truly incredible to watch how fast it drains.
Forever, Monroe has been the first course to open and the last course to close.
Between our sandy soil and our availability for water, those are probably the two biggest aspects you could ask for when you're looking to place a golf course somewhere. It doesn't get any better than those two features.
Some members have long believed in the pump house effect, pulling putts in the direction of the pump house. Not everyone believes.
That's what they say. No, I don't believe that.
I used to not believe it, and then I'd walk off 11 green or I'd walk off 14 green, and I'd say, I don't know, I think they might be right.
I don't believe in the pump house effect. I hear it all the time.
The club flourished after World War II, with projects that included remodeling and expanding the clubhouse. In 1951, the first swimming pool opened. The club had established activities beyond golf, including tennis, skeet shooting, and skating. And bowling was a major social activity for many members for decades. Because of the added activities, Monroe was set to change its name to Monroe Country Club in 1952, until it was discovered there was already a Monroe Country Club in Monroe, Orange County, so the name Monroe Golf Club remained. Two of the most influential founding members were Henry Perigo and A.E. Davy Crockett. Perigo, Monroe's first president and longest-serving board member, passed away in 1950 at the age of 77, and the Board of Governors paid tribute to him with a resolution praising his efforts and judgment. Crockett, the first club secretary, died in 1958, and at the request of his son, his ashes were spread over the course. The many members over the years also included Bobby Davies, a member of the 1951 NBA champion Rochester Royals. He belonged in the 1950s. 1936 Olympic hockey player Frank Spain was a member in the 50s and 60s. Monroe used to have as a neighbor the Brzee Harmon Airport. A small plane actually crashed into the trees next to the course in 1962. The club requested the airport limit flights on weekends to avoid noise on the course.
We would be putting on number 5, and that must have been the landing pattern, and we'd all be crouching down thinking the plane was going to get us.
In the mid-60s, the airport land was sold and turned into a housing development that includes a street named Kitty Hawk. In 1937, a tradition was born with the start of the Monroe Invitational. At first, it was a local and regional tournament. Early winners included Ski Regal and Rochester's Sam Rosetta, who both also won the U.S. Amateur. Rochester's Don Allen won a record 4 times. Fred Ridley won in 1976. Ridley would go on to become president of the USGA and then chairman of Augusta National. The tournament moved to a more national field in the mid-'80s under the direction of Tom Solberg.
I just said, basically, we need to give the good golfers in Rochester a chance to play against the best.
It was amazing what he was able to do in a short period of time. Within 2 years, we were considered one of the better tournaments in the United States.
A who's who of golf who have played here and or have won here.
Players like Lucas Glover, Jason Duffner, and Ben Curtis, all future major champions, competed at the Monroe.
On the first tee, the number 1 ranked junior player in the United States, Tiger Woods.
In 1993, high school senior Tiger Woods competed when the tournament was still match play. The 17-year-old's father, Earl Woods, called Solberg to ask if his soon-to-be world-famous son could play at the Monroe.
He just said, Earl Woods. And he said, you've got a tournament out there, I believe. And he said, my son would like to play in it. Can you help me with that? I said, yeah, you're in.
Tiger and Earl stayed at member Buzz Weber's home during tournament week. Tiger drew a lot of interest and made the round of match play. He advanced to the semifinals, where he would lose to eventual champion Tom Creevy. But Tiger made believers at Monroe.
A phenom even then. He was doing things that kids his age didn't do.
He hit this unbelievable shot. From the 3rd tee, he hit it in the 2nd fairway, and he had to go underneath a tree limb and then over some other trees and then slice it about 40 yards to the right. And I still go by that spot all the time because I try to imagine hitting that shot. Pretty special.
Tiger, final question over to the right, Mike 1.
20 years later, at the 2013 PGA Championship, Tiger was asked about his previous visit to Rochester.
I played here as an amateur, over at Monroe, and the Monroe Invitational. I believe it's an old Donna Ross course, and Man, it was just a fantastic golf course.
In 2007, another future star and major champion would play at the Monroe. The tournament was now medal play, and Coastal Carolina's Dustin Johnson tied the course record with a 62 in the third round on his way to victory.
I stuck to my game plan, didn't worry about what everybody else was doing, just worried about myself and just focused on one shot at a time.
When he had that saunter, he hit the ball so far and so straight. It was like watching the Mickey Mantle of golf or something at a young age.
The list of impressive champions includes Andy Ogletree, who won the Monroe and then the U.S. Amateur at Pinehurst a few weeks later in 2019. Only 3 players, Ogletree, Urzetta, and Ski Regal, have won the Monroe and the U.S. Am in the same year. In an effort to elevate the LPGA Championship, the Tour, tournament officials, and sponsor Wegmans approached Monroe about hosting the major in 2014. A deal was struck, and Monroe Golf Club hosted its first professional tournament.
When they put up the white picket fences around the 1st and 10th tee and around the putting green, and the signs started going up and the bleachers started going up, so, wow, we've got a major. We have a major tournament.
Everything about it just kind of screams it's a major, said world number 1 Stacy Lewis about Monroe. Inbee Park rallied to tie Brittany Lincecum, forcing a sudden death playoff. And Park won the playoff to capture her second straight LPGA championship. It marked a major send-off to 38 years of LPGA tournaments in Rochester.
Monroe stepped up to the plate, and then to have all those top golfers play, it was great.
That was very exciting, I thought, and the players, I understand, just universally raved about the setup of the golf course and the quality of it.
The club showcased extremely well to the community and on TV, on the Golf Channel. And ultimately, I think the membership was really happy that we had it.
Monroe has hosted other tournaments and events. In 1926, Walter Hagen played an 18-hole exhibition match and praised the greens and the course. Monroe has held the men's and women's New York State Amateur and District Championships, the 1985 NCAA Division III Championships, and in 1956, Monroe and CCR teamed to host the 36-hole U.S. Open sectional qualifier. There have been many great Monroe golfers. Jean Ramaker Trainer was among the first, a trailblazer, who won the first of her 5 Monroe Club championships in 1934 at the age of 17. Her Hall of Fame career included 24 district titles, and she qualified for the U.S. Women's Amateur 7 times. Warren Simmons was among the region's best in the 1950s and qualified for the 1956 U.S. Open at the age of 18. In recent decades, Dana Counselor won 7 club titles in the 70s and 80s. Tim Spitz has won 13 Monroe championships, second all-time for men. John Kircher has won a men's record 18 club championships. He also claimed district titles, qualified for the U.S. Amateur, and was a charter member of the RDGA Hall of Fame. From 1964 to 1987, Patsy Beers won 15 women's club championships. And Tammy Blythe holds the record for women or men with 32 club championships.
You're giving them a landing pad to run it into the green.
Matt Deli is only the 5th ground superintendent in Monroe's 100-year history. He was promoted in 2008 and has played a significant role in the Donald Ross Restoration Project. In 2007, he was an assistant for Mark Hughes. Hughes, a dedicated superintendent, finally took a vacation with his wife Lisa. They went to Puerto Rico and then tragedy. Hughes saved his wife from a riptide, but he was pulled under and drowned.
I couldn't believe the news when I had heard that. It was a rough one. It was a rough stretch. 49 years old, 2 young boys, a smile you'll never forget.
What about the grass into that bunker? Still short?
Deli has worked closely with architect Tyler Ray on the Donald Ross restoration that has included opening up vistas of the rolling terrain.
And then level this out back here and get more of the water going off the front.
In 2021, Ray used the Ross blueprints to return the 12th green to its original design.
You're gonna hit it out, it's just gonna race. We pushed the green a little further right and then tied it off of the ridge coming off of hole 10 and raised the green probably 5 to 6 feet. Exactly how Ross drew it in his hand sketch from 1922, 1923. You don't want to keep it up by your wheels because then it'll just come off the green and go out in the rough.
Ray and Deli have teamed to restore the 11th and 9th greens following the Ross plans.
It makes me proud, you know, that we can carry on the tradition of this club. The beauty of this golf course, and a lot of the beauty of this golf course lies in the architectural bones. That's what makes it special.
Expose that topography, the wind's blowing, the native grasses are whipping around in the wind, the sight lines, you see bunkers, you see other players, you see your friends. Yeah, and the topography, just the rolling, rollicking nature here of the topography will shine. It'll be the all-star.
There's often many comments about just being wowed by the beauty of the landscape and seeing the terrain, and as we continue to evolve, the changes that are being made are rather appreciated by the Raiders for sure.
Joe Merlin has been Monroe's head PGA professional since 2018. He is only the 5th head pro since its beginning in 1923.
We do have a very active golf program and our members love to play the game, and to be honest, that's why I love being here. From the moment I stepped on property, it felt like home and it felt like a place that, you know, I could see myself being here for quite some time.
Scotsman Johnny Walker was the first head pro. He was replaced by George Vatke, who served the club from 1931 to 1970. Nationally honored Jim Merva was Monroe's head pro from 1982 to 2018. He was named PGA Professional of the Year and also inducted into the PGA of America Hall of Fame.
Just everything about it is just a great place. And the membership was, they treated us like families, we were like their family.
The longest serving general manager was Bob Standish from 1934 to 1971. He was an 11th generation descendant of Miles Standish, an English officer hired by the Pilgrims. Since 2013, Scott Ellender has been Monroe's general manager and COO.
We have such a dedicated and loyal staff, and when you think of our senior leadership team, whether it be Chef Frank, who's been here since 2008, Pam Bucklew, our Director of Finance and HR, who's been here since 2007, Matt Deli, our Head Superintendent, who's been taking care of our golf course since 2008, and Joe Merlin, our Head Golf Professional, who's been here taking care of our members and guests since 2018. We're very lucky to have a senior leadership team of people like that who are the backbone of making sure that this club operates, I think, at a very high level, day in and day out.
To me, Monroe is special because there's a want and desire from the members to be close and know the employees and form a rapport. You know, you walk down the hall and it's, hey chef, how are you? How's your family? How's your son? And it's, you know, it means something.
The club has had a long history of employees whose dedication have greatly contributed to the service provided to members. Maintenance Supervisor Keith Reed has worked at Monroe since 1984. Donna Larson has worked on the grounds crew since 1982. And Carol Adams may be the longest tenured employee in club history. Carol, the current membership secretary and accounts payable coordinator, was hired by Monroe in 1968. Holidays hold a special place for the Monroe family. Breakfast with Santa has been a December tradition for decades, and even included a helicopter arrival for St. Nick in the 1950s. Around 1,000 people come each 4th of July for the barbecue and fireworks.
I have been probably every 4th of July here at the club ever since I was little. It's amazing.
We do all the traditional holiday events, whether it be Easter and the Easter Bunny, Mother's Day, Thanksgiving. Gives members the opportunity to come and enjoy their club in a special setting.
Since its founding in 1923, Monroe has added many amenities, facilities, and social activities.
They had a little three-piece band in there, and a lot of the members came out to dance on Saturday night.
And people would stay until 1 or 2 in the morning. It was a party atmosphere here.
The first tennis courts were added in the 1920s. Today there are clay and hard courts, plus paddleball and pickleball courts. The L-shaped pool was built in 1966 and remains a popular spot for families today.
The variety of things to do, I think, is important.
We have a fitness center. We now have an indoor golf simulator room with 2 hitting bays. Even though golf is at our core, we do offer the full country club experience, and I think that's helped to grow our membership.
The 1990s marked a significant decade for demolition, renovation, and construction. From the pro shop, the East End, and the new main entrance and ballrooms. One of the most popular spots at the club remains the back lawn. The area behind 18 Green has long served as the spot for a drink, rehashing around, laughter, and forging long-lasting friendships.
Everyone that I bring out as a guest comments on how wonderful that area is to enjoy after you play a round of golf, and that there isn't any other golf course or club around here that has anything like that.
Having belonged to different clubs in Philadelphia, nobody had a lawn to sit on. You know, they had decks and patios and so forth. But I just loved it, that people were sitting out on the lawn.
You certainly can't find a better place around 7 o'clock when the sun's setting and there's shadows throughout the golf course. It's very pristine, and it's a wonderful place to be for sure.
Legacy has been a consistent and significant part of Monroe's history. Generations of families have called Monroe home.
First memory is 1959. A picture of my mother and father and I on the 9th green. It actually went into the sports section of the paper. The fact that we have so many legacy members, so many sons and daughters of members coming back to join is a testament to the club.
It means a lot. You know, when Jeff and I got married and we joined here, we raised Elizabeth and Christopher here to, you know, love the game. It's a family club.
In August 2023, Monroe Golf Club officially celebrated its centennial. 100 years of golf and so much more.
This is pure enjoyment. You could literally play this golf course every day for the rest of your life. It's one of those kind of courses.
I've loved so many of the people, and I love the golf course. It's one of the best courses around.
To keep it a viable family club for all those years is pretty special.